In this true crime documentary, a missing person case turned into one of Sweden's most chilling betrayals. She walked into a nightclub thinking the fight was over. Hours later, she was gone. Her best friend didn't just betray her, she celebrated. They played music, they laughed, and they thought they got away with it. But the truth has a way of surfacing, and when it did, the court delivered a historic ruling, one that changed Sweden's justice system forever. This is the Tove Tönnies case, a story of friendship, obsession, and a horrifying truth that no one saw coming. In the early hours of October 16th, 2022, Johanna Leshem Jansson's phone rang. On the other end was Albin, the boyfriend of her close friend, Tove Tönnies. His voice carried an unease he couldn't shake as he asked about Tove. Johanna responded without hesitation. Tove had left her place at around 3 a.m. and was heading home. It sounded simple enough, but something about it didn't sit right with Albin. Why would Tove leave her best friend's place at that hour? Especially when, just hours earlier, she had told him she was going out with her friends to settle yet another dispute, this time at nightclub. Albin ended the call, but the worry lingered. He reached out to their mutual friends, Mohammed and Amir, the ones who had been with Tove at the bar. Their response only deepened his concern. They confirmed that after an argument between Tove and her friends, Johanna and Maya Hellman, the three had left together. Amir, sensing the tension, had warned Tove not to go with them, but she had reassured him. Everything was fine. They were just going to talk things out. That was the last time Amir saw her. In reality, it was the last time anyone would. Albin tried to reassure himself. Everything would be fine. After all, Tove Tönnies was well known in Vetlanda, a place where everyone adored her. Nothing serious could happen to someone like her. With that thought, he forced himself to sleep. Morning came too soon. At 9 a.m., his phone buzzed, jolting him awake. This time, it was Johanna. Her voice carried an unfamiliar tension as she asked if he had heard from Tove. His heart sank. He hadn't. Her phone was still off. Panic crept in. He immediately called Tove's twin sister, hoping for reassurance. Instead, he was met with something far worse: confusion. She assumed Tove had spent the night at his place. She had no idea her sister had even been out at the nightclub. A growing sense of dread spread through the family. Tove's sister, wasted no time. She called everyone close to Tove, piecing together what had happened. Friends confirmed seeing Tove enter nightclub with Amir and Mohammed. They also witnessed the heated argument between her and Johanna. But when Mai learned about the fight, something inside her twisted. Johanna wasn't who people thought she was. She and Tove had been drifting apart, their friendship poisoned by constant clashes. And this wasn't the first time things had escalated. Mai knew what no one else did. Johanna had once tried to set fire to Tove's home after one of their previous disputes. This wasn't just a fight. This was dangerous. Desperate for answers, Mai pushed harder, asking anyone who had been at the club. A mutual friend finally revealed the first real clue. When Tove walked into the nightclub and spotted Johanna, she stormed up to her, eyes blazing, and told her, "Tell me, how does it feel to be the worst person on earth?" The words cut through the noise. The confrontation escalated fast. Security had to step in. But before the night ended, Johanna approached Tove again, her tone softer now. She wanted to talk. She wanted to explain, and she invited Tove back to her place, to clear the air. Tove hesitated. She had just learned the truth. Johanna was the one who had been spreading rumors about her betraying Albin. It stung, but even then, something in her heart made her pause. Maybe there was still a chance to fix things. And just like that, she made the choice. She went with Johanna. She gave her best friend one last chance. When Mai heard what had happened, her unease grew into something darker. She knew Johanna too well. This wasn't someone who backed down. This wasn't someone who suddenly became humble to mend a broken friendship. And if Maya Hellman was involved, that only made things worse. Maya wasn't just a friend. She was Johanna's shadow, her follower, someone who carried out her every command without hesitation. In situations like these, Maya played a role closer to a bodyguard than a friend. That's why something felt off. If Johanna and Maya had suddenly decided to make peace with Tove, it wasn't out of kindness. This wasn't normal. 3 hours after Albin's call to Tove's sister, the family made a decision. They couldn't wait any longer. They went to the police. From that moment on, investigators were about to uncover a case that would reshape the justice system in Sweden forever. The moment the police received the missing person report from Tove Tönnies' family, the search began. Investigators focused on the last time she was seen, quickly narrowing their attention to 4 key individuals: Johanna Leshem Jansson, Maya Hellman, Mohammed, and Amir. Mohammed and Amir had been with Tove when she entered the nightclub. Johanna and Maya were the last ones seen with her when she left. On the surface, Johanna and Maya seemed to be the most crucial figures in the case. But the police weren't taking any chances. Everyone was a suspect. They called each person in for questioning. During their police interview, Mohammed and Amir explained that on the night of October 15th, they had reached out to Albin and Tove with an invitation to go to the nightclub. Albin declined. He preferred to stay home, watch TV with Tove, and avoid the loud music. But Tove was restless. The night felt dull, and Mohammed's suggestion was the perfect excuse to break free from the routine. While Mohammed and Amir drove to the club, Tove, who had always loved cycling, grabbed her bike and followed them. Albin confirmed this to the police, and soon, investigators ruled out Mohammed and Amir as suspects. Their timeline checked out, and after leaving the club, they went straight home. Something they were able to prove beyond doubt. With 2 names crossed off the list, the police turned their attention to the last people who had been with Tove. On October 17th, Johanna Leshem Jansson was summoned for questioning. By then, she had already been heavily involved with Tove's family, checking in, offering to help, calling friends, and exchanging messages filled with concern. She expressed deep shock and sorrow over her missing friend. But when the police asked her to recount the night Tove vanished, her story felt rehearsed. She admitted that Tove had confronted her at Noyat nightclub, approaching with a cold stare and a sharp tongue, and told her, "How does it feel to be the worst person on earth?" Johanna claimed she ignored the insult. She let Tove vent, then approached her calmly and offered a chance to talk. She invited Tove to her apartment, saying they needed to clear the air. According to Johanna, Tove agreed and went with her willingly. Inside the apartment, Johanna claimed they talked things through, resolved their issues, and ended the night with a hug. That was it. She had no idea what happened to Tove after that. To the police, something was wrong with this version of events. Everyone who knew Johanna Jansson understood one thing: she wasn't the type to settle a fight with a hug, especially not after a heated argument like the one at the club. When pressed about what she did after Tove left, Johanna added another detail. She said that shortly after, her friend Maya Hellman became extremely ill from drinking too much. Concerned, Johanna claimed she took a ride with their neighbor to McDonald's to get food, hoping it would help Maya recover. The investigators weren't convinced. Then came Maya Hellman's turn to speak. Her statement was almost identical to Johanna's, except for one detail. She claimed she had been so intoxicated that she blacked out completely. She remembered nothing else. While investigators worked to piece together the truth, Tove Tönnies' family refused to wait. They had already begun searching on their own. The entire village rallied behind them. Tove wasn't just anyone. She was beloved. A bright medical student, known for her passion for soccer, her presence at every community event, and most of all, her kindness. Friends described her as the one person who always wanted to help. Her family spoke of her intelligence, her ambition, the daughter they were endlessly proud of. The idea that she could vanish without a trace was simply unthinkable. Then, a breakthrough. Tove's bike was found. It was abandoned near Johanna's apartment. The discovery sent shockwaves through the search efforts. 2 possibilities emerged. Either Johanna was directly involved, or someone had intentionally left the bike there to divert suspicion onto her. At the same time, the police had already taken critical action. They secured the necessary legal approvals to track Johanna's phone, along with Maya Hellman's. Their every movement, every interaction, would now be scrutinized. Then, on October 20th, authorities made their move. Johanna Leshem Jansson and Maya Hellman were taken into custody. From that moment on, Every single moment from October 15th until their arrest would be dissected. The first step was Johanna's apartment. When investigators stepped inside, the place was spotless, immaculately arranged, everything exactly where it should be. It was too perfect. But then, two details stood out. In the kitchen sink, 3 wine glasses sat unwashed, their presence an eerie contradiction to the otherwise pristine space. And in the living room, trash bags had been placed in the open, as if left there deliberately. It didn't add up. Why would someone meticulously clean their home but leave behind something so obvious, unless it was meant to send a message? A silent signal to the detectives, one they were meant to notice. Then came the biggest revelation yet. Investigators questioned Johanna's neighbor, the man she claimed had driven her to McDonald's that night. He had no idea what was coming. When asked about the ride, he confirmed that he had indeed seen Johanna that night, but not for the reason she had claimed. His father had woken up to the sound of a violent struggle inside Johanna's apartment. It was brief, but intense. Then, silence. Concerned, the neighbor knocked on the door. The noise stopped. Moments later, Johanna appeared, calm and composed, offering an explanation. She told him that Maya had been feeling sick from drinking too much, and she was heading out to get food. She had asked to borrow his car, but he insisted to be with her because even she seemed intoxicated. Then, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. One of the investigators showed the neighbor a photo of Tove's bicycle. His reaction was immediate. He recognized it. It had been right outside Johanna's building that night, still there when he and Johanna left for McDonald's. The realization hit hard. Tove never left that apartment. Everything Johanna and Maya had said, a lie. The investigators knew the evidence they had so far wouldn't be enough to force Johanna to break. She was calculated. She had built her story carefully. There was no chance she would confess unless they had something undeniable. So, they took the next step. Johanna's phone, and Maya's, were sent to forensic analysts for a deep examination. The process wasn't quick. It took time. Every movement, every interaction, every digital footprint was scrutinized. Then, on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, the report arrived. It didn't just suggest that Johanna had lied. It proved it beyond any doubt. On October 16th, 2022, 3:30 to 5 a.m., Johanna's phone was active, moving through a forested area southeast of Vetlanda, a direct contradiction to her claim that she had gone home and slept. 5:16 a.m. The phone was still active in the same forested area, playing music on Spotify. The songs? Celebratory. Can't Go and Teenage. 5:50 a.m. Back at her apartment, her phone remained active, even though she had sworn she had been asleep at this time. 11 a.m. Her phone moved again, this time from her home to a dollar store. After the store, it moved back to the same forest, the second trip to the exact same location. The moment these findings reached the investigators, there was no hesitation. A search team was deployed immediately to the forest southeast of Vetlanda, the place Johanna had returned to twice on the same day. Then came Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. In the heart of the woods, they found her. Tove Tönnies. Her remains lay burned from the waist up. Next to her were charred garbage bags, their contents unmistakable. Tove's belongings. The case was no longer about a missing person. Tove Tönnies, just 21 years old, was officially declared deceased. And Johanna Leshem Janssen and Maya Hellman were charged with her murder. When the police confronted Johanna Leshem Janssen with the evidence, she didn't panic. She had an answer for everything. She claimed she must have forgotten that she had gone to the forest. She had been overwhelmed with emotions, needing a quiet place to clear her mind. Her phone was active at home instead of being off while she was asleep because she had been scrolling on her phone, unaware of the exact moment she drifted off. And Tove's death? That was the real shock. She had nothing to do with it. She was devastated to hear about her dear friend's fate. But the investigators weren't interested in stories anymore. They had something Johanna couldn't talk her way out of. When they reviewed surveillance footage, one officer spotted something chilling. Inside the car Johanna took to McDonald's, Tove's jacket was there, as if her possessions no longer mattered to her, as if Johanna had claimed them as her own. But that wasn't all. The police retraced her movements at Dollar Store. What she bought was damning. 3 bottles of chemically pure gasoline, wet wipes, new bed sheets. And then came her search history, a blueprint of her thoughts before and after that night. How to get rid of someone without being caught. Best way to take revenge on an ex-friend. How to start a fire without leaving evidence. What happens if someone is deprived of oxygen for too long? Still, Johanna refused to admit anything. She fought back with every excuse she could conjure. She dodged, deflected, twisted the truth. But science didn't lie. DNA results confirmed Tove's genetic traces were everywhere. Johanna's car, Johanna's home. And yet, she remained unyielding. So, investigators turned to the shadow who never questioned her. Maya Hellman. Unlike Johanna, Maya wasn't calculating. She didn't manipulate. She followed. She had always followed. For years, she had walked in Johanna's footsteps, blindly trusting her. Maybe it was because she didn't have many friends. Maybe it was because Johanna made her feel important. Or maybe Johanna had made sure she would never dare to think for herself. When detectives confronted Maya, the weight of the evidence was too much. They told her the truth about her phone activity. She had insisted she had been asleep, but her phone had been active twice during those hours. And then, she broke. Like a row of dominoes crashing down, Maya collapsed under pressure. She confessed, but not to the crime itself. She swore she hadn't been part of it. She hadn't taken a life. She had only helped move the body. Her phone was active. That was just because she had gone to the bathroom twice. She claimed she hadn't even known what had happened to Tove. She had simply walked in and found her lifeless, wrapped in a bedsheet. And Johanna? Johanna had ordered her to help get rid of the evidence. And she had obeyed. Faced with Maya Hellman's confession, Johanna Leshem-Janssen knew there was no way out. The truth was already exposed. There was nothing left to twist or manipulate. She finally admitted what happened. On October 16th, 2022, after she and Tove Tönnies entered the apartment, an argument broke out. A fight that escalated beyond anything before. According to Johanna, it was Maya Hellman who first restrained Tove's arms, holding her down. That was all Johanna needed. She climbed on top of her friend, cutting off her air. Minutes passed. And then Tove stopped moving. She was gone. The next step was disposal. Johanna and Maya took the body to the forest. They thought they were free. They even celebrated. Sitting there in the aftermath of what they had done, they played music on Spotify. Songs filled with energy and excitement, as if they had won something. But their celebration wouldn't last long. March 27th, 2023. The trial begins. The case was heard at Exio District Court, and the prosecution came fully prepared. The autopsy report was clear. The cause of death was suffocation. But that wasn't all. The investigators presented Johanna and Maya's phone records, showing that after they disposed of Tove's body, they returned to their normal lives as if nothing had happened. Even worse, they had celebrated their crime. The prosecution also exposed Johanna's past. In 2021, she had been accused of attempting to set fire to Tove's home after one of their many disputes. This wasn't a sudden act of rage. This was a pattern. Step by step, the prosecution painted the full picture. After Johanna suffocated Tove, Maya helped her move the body. Then, after returning home, Johanna went back to the crime scene alone, poured gasoline over Tove, and set her on fire. When questioned about this, Johanna's response was chilling. She claimed she hadn't wanted to leave Tove alone in the forest. She set her on fire because she believed that would set her soul free. The defense had a very different story to tell. They called in forensic experts to argue that the cause of death wasn't suffocation by force, but rather by choking on her own vomit due to alcohol poisoning. Throughout the trial, Johanna remained silent. She showed no emotion, no regret. Maya's attorney, however, focused on her role as a follower, not a leader. He argued that she had not participated in any violence. She had only helped move the body, not out of free will, but because she was too afraid to say no to Johanna. On April 19, 2023, the court delivered a historic ruling. For the first time in Sweden, 2 women under the age of 21 were sentenced to life in prison. However, on October 4, 2023, both Johanna and Maja appealed their sentences, and the outcome changed everything. Maja Hellman's sentence was reduced to 18 months. Since she had already served that time while awaiting trial, she was released shortly after the ruling. Johanna Leshem Jansson's sentence was reduced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 16 years. But for Johanna, the story didn't end there. Even behind bars, she refused to be controlled. One day, in a shocking act of violence, she attempted to attack a prison guard using a pair of tweezers to stab at their eye, intending to blind them, hoping to escape. Her plan failed. She was immediately transferred to a high-security prison, where she would serve out her sentence under constant surveillance. Now it's your turn. Do you think Maja Hellman was truly just a follower, or was she just as guilty as Johanna? Should she have received a harsher sentence? Leave your thought in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime documentaries. See you in the next video.